Hello, it's Randi Rhodes. Here's a clip from our show, and go to randirhodes.com for the whole thing and a podcast. Buy a stinking podcast.
Mary had a little man.
The fault. We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon. I have a dream today. Change has come to America.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show.
Turn up your mind.
I can tell you one thing for sure. We don't need a liberal person in there, a Democrat. Jones, I've looked at his record. It's terrible in crime. It's terrible in the border. It's terrible in the military. I can tell you for a fact, we do not need somebody that's going to be bad on crime, bad on borders, bad with the military, bad for the Second Amendment. Well, he denies it. Look, he denies it.
He denies it.
If you look at what is really going on, and you look at all the things that have happened over the last 48 hours, he totally denies it. He says it didn't happen. And, you know, you have to listen to him also. You're talking about, he said 40 years ago this did not happen. So, you know. I'll be letting you know next week. But I can tell you, you don't need somebody who's soft on crime like Jones.
This is insanity. Okay, first of all, he lied right there. That is the president endorsing Roy Moore and not making clear that he would not campaign for him, saying, I'll let you know next week, I'll let you know sometime. So the White House is saying that Donald Trump will not campaign for Roy Moore. Of course, the White House isn't the same thing as Donald Trump, and I have to remind you of that several times a day, every day. Because this man is crazy. Now, he says he looked at Doug Jones's record. What record does Doug Jones have that he could look at, except as a prosecutor in Alabama, where he prosecuted 2 Ku Klux Klan members for a decades-old bombing at the 16th Street Baptist Church? How is this man weak on crime? How is that possible? Domestic terrorists he prosecuted. One of these white separatist guys he prosecuted. Another one. Tommy Blanton, that murderer, still sits in prison. He will die there. I don't think that Tommy Blanton of the Ku Klux Klan, a murderer of 4 little girls, thinks that Doug Jones is soft on crime. Officers, police chiefs, prosecutors, they have all sung the praises of Doug Jones. They say he is tough and very, very persistent. What is this man talking about? What record did he look at? And what is he? Oh, he's easy on taxes. What is he even referring to? What is that? He's weak on the border. What does that mean? Because he's sane and doesn't want to spend $20 billion building your stupid Trump wall? What is weak on the border? I really, honest to God, do not understand why this man gets a pass every single. I mean, I really, really don't understand. And then today we come back, and of course, there's this big thing going on with the Consumer Protection Agency. I don't want to get too deep into the weeds on this, our very first day back together again, but honestly, you've got 2 people who are heading up the Consumer Protection Bureau that was set up by Dodd-Frank, Barney Frank, and Chris Dodd to protect consumers from the bad habits of the banking system that rips people off for something like $12 billion, which the Consumer Protection Bureau was able to recover for the United States citizens who were harmed by the bad banking practices that went on all through 2007 and 8. And so they set up this Consumer Protection Bureau. Now he sends Mick Mulvaney. I thought Mick Mulvaney is the budget director. How is he? He can't manage the budget because we don't have a budget. So that's pretty apparent. And now he hates the Consumer Protection Agency because he wants it to be the Banking Protection Agency. And so Trump goes, oh, you're great for this. Go over there and head the agency, except that when Dodd-Frank was written, rules about if the director should resign or the director should retire, which is what happened, then the deputy director becomes the acting head. It's in the legislation. But Trump goes ahead and sends Mick Mulvaney over there to head the agency while there's an agency acting head who is the deputy who, by law, listen, these people are so law. It's unbelievable. It is really amazing. But that's just a little sideshow. It truly is a sideshow. You know what Doug Jones is running as a TV ad now? Doug Jones, who will be our next senator from freaking Alabama. He will be. This is really a done deal. I shouldn't say that because Alabamans need to be reminded to vote because only 12% show up in their primaries. And that's how you get nutbags who disrespect the law, nutbags who won't follow court orders as a Supreme Court justice. Seriously, dude. People who are well known to the police officer. Look, this is Faye Gary is an ex-Gadsden police officer. This woman, I swear to God, was a police officer in Roy Moore's hometown for 35 years. For 35 years, and she tells what everybody who will say anything says, and that everybody knew that Roy Moore was trolling the malls for young teenage girls.
Tell me about what was known back in the day about Roy Moore.
Well, the rumor mill was that he liked young girls, and we were advised that he was being suspended from the mall because he would hang around the young girls that worked in the stores, and really it had gotten to a place of where they say he was harassing them. And we were also told to watch him at the ball games and make sure that he didn't hang around the cheerleaders.
Oh, for Pete's sake. Doug Jones is weak on crime. Roy Moore is a crime. Roy Moore is a walking crime. He is a crime of pedophilia. He's a crime of harassment. He's a crime of disobeying court orders. I mean, this man is a crime. How dare they? And when the president of the it's so funny. I said to you, it's not really funny, but it's sad funny. When we were having the gun debate back in the day after Sandy Hook, I said to you, we just lost the gun debate because the Republicans have decided that it is an acceptable thing to lose children in an elementary school setting, in a mass murder situation, with a mentally ill person having access to a semi-automatic weapon. That is acceptable to them as a price that we must pay for freedom. So we lost the gun debate back then. 98% of us wanted background checks universally, and Congress did nothing because the donors must be heeded. The donors must be paid. And so that was the end of the gun debate. And now we're about to have, and we are having, a debate about harassment and men's crazy, out of control ideas about their libido must be served. Because that's the price that we all pay for their freedom, right? Is that we have to be groped and we have to be belittled and we have to be grabbed and we have to be, subject to, men walking around in their underwear and dick pics and all that. It's just part of freedom. It's part of freedom, right? So we're about to lose this argument, especially if Roy Moore is elected, then we're going to lose the pedophilia argument. And all bets are off about protecting our children. All bets are off about the freedom that Congress has, senators have, that, there's different standards for people in power versus people not in power. And if we lose this one, I swear to you, there is nothing left to, even fight for. Because we've already lost children to the gun violence and can't get a simple thing like bump stocks bans, can't get a simple thing like universal background checks, can't get the NICS system to work properly, can't get states to report, can't even mandate states to report mentally ill, convicted mentally ill people, pedophilia. I mean, this is just unbelievable. And now we're supposed to, poor Al Franken, he has now become the poster boy for harassment because the media has decided that somebody who's willing to talk about it is better than someone who's not. And so Al Franken is the headline because Al Franken is willing to apologize. He's willing to take responsibility. He's willing to talk about it. He's willing to revisit his behavior. He's willing to say, you know what? I am super. And I told you this. He is very, very, very super, 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 almost shockingly friendly when you first meet him. And it's just a little off-putting, but it's not out of disrespect. And it isn't sexual, and it isn't aggressive, and it isn't malicious, and it isn't any of those things. Where Roy Moore is looking to get off no matter who pays the price, no matter how long this memory lasts throughout the, you know what I mean? And he will never apologize. Trump too, same thing. How many women have to come forward and say stuff about Trump? Now, here's the really creepy part. When people started making the connection with Donald Trump endorsing a child molester, endorsing a troll, a mall troll, a mall rat who had to be banned from the mall as a district attorney, as a prosecutor in that same exact town, okay? When Donald Trump decided that he would endorse him, he didn't realize that the sick thing might be that he is now associated with Roy Moore's behavior, and it's a double down on that, okay? And it's a double down. And all of a sudden it becomes clear to him that everybody's making the connection. Well, of course, you know, rats stick together. Unrepentant men with, libidos that must be served above all else, stick together. And Roy Moore and Donald Trump are two peas in a pod. Now, of course he would endorse him. Of course he would. And we know what Trump's about because Trump told us what he was about on that Access Hollywood tape, right? We know he said that he went after married women. We know he said he tried to F Nancy O'Dell and she was married and I moved on her like a bitch. And we know the other parts too, right? And we also know that Trump apologized for that tape when he was asking for your vote.
I've never said I'm a perfect person, nor pretended to be someone that I'm not. I've said and done things I regret, and the words released today on this more than a decade-old video are one of them. Anyone who knows me knows these words don't reflect who I am. I said it, I was wrong, and I apologize.
Okay. All of a sudden today, he's saying that the Access Hollywood tape is not authentic.
On the Access Hollywood thing, he really might believe that it's not authentic. I think it's way more true.
Did Chris Cuomo just say that the president is so delusional that he might really believe that the Access Hollywood tape is not real? And say it giggling in a giggly schoolgirl kind of a way. Is this really the normalization of a president that is so willing to lie about any damn thing that he feels like? Or is there more to it? Check this out. This is unbelievable.
On the Access Hollywood thing, he really might believe that it's not authentic. I think it's way more troubling than it's getting credit for. I don't think that this is an offhand comment by him. I think he believes this will work with people. That if he doubts its authenticity, that is him on that tape, okay? That's who it is. He said what he said. He even kind of owned it.
He did own it.
You know,
he said, I said it, and I apologize.
He kind of owned it, yeah, but except he said it was just locker room talk. Yeah. It wasn't truthful, you know, which would be the first time I ever sat around. You know, it would make him the largest liar of any guy in a locker room I've ever been around because I've never heard that kind of detail of different scenarios, every one of which was supposedly BS when it proved inconvenient. But I think that's kind of scary, Alex, because if he will go to that level of saying, yeah, maybe that's fake, well, what else will he say that about that's not as clear cut? That's the concern on something like this.
On something like this, you're just now getting, see, this is the problem, is that this, I love Chris Cuomo. I think he's like Zorro, man. If Trump sat down with Chris Cuomo, there would be nothing left. He would be like, the only thing left to carve, would be his headstone because Cuomo would just, Zorro him up. But he won't. And the thing that bothers me is that the media, every time Trump does something, they go, this is the most disturbing thing yet. I mean, if he'll lie about that, then what won't he lie? What has he ever told the truth about? This man is a fake person. He has absolutely no principles. He has no core. He has no character. He has no shame. He has no dignity. He has nothing that you would want in a United States president. He has nothing that you would want in a guy. He has nothing that you would want in a girl. He has nothing that you would want that would engender trust. Okay? So this is just the media constantly, everything is so shocking. And, today we came back and just as we were sitting down, I got to tell you, there was a little sort of an honor being bestowed upon World War II Navajo Indians who were doing the code work for us so that we could talk to our soldiers and not have it intercepted by Nazis, who could translate English. And so they were using the Navajo language to, code our communications for us. Now, these men are elderly now. They've got to be in their late 80s, 90s. And they went to the White House for the bestowing of our thanks and honor to be paid to their work. And Trump screwed that up, too. And, of course, Sarah Huckabee Sanders, made an excuse for it. This is really disgusting, what he said here, okay? Now, remember, he's talking to two Navajo Native Americans who served us in World War II, and he's trying to thank them, okay? This is how bad he is at dealing with people who he considers to be different.
You're very, very special people. You were here long before any of us were here. Although we have a representative in Congress who they say was here a long time ago. They call her Pocahontas. But you know what? I like you because you are special.
What did he just do? Is it now okay to tell Jew jokes, at Passover? Is it okay now to tell jokes about, African American? We're going to what? When he talks about John Conyers, he's going to tell your mama jokes? I mean, what is the deal here with this man? Why is he so incapable of respecting another human being? He has no respect. And when Sarah Huckabee Sanders had her press briefing just shortly after this, she was asked about this crazy comment.
Code talkers. He referred to Pocahontas being in the Senate. Why did he feel the need to say something that is offensive to many people while honoring the Navajo code talkers, these genuine American
I think
heroes?
What most people find offensive is Senator Warren lying about her heritage to advance her career.
She said it was a racial slur. She said it was a racial slur. What is your response to that?
I think that's a ridiculous response.
Yeah, he built a wall. Trump built a wall, and its name is Sarah Huckabee Sanders. The president made a racial slur about Native Americans to Native Americans while he was supposed to be honoring them. And she says the offensive thing is that Elizabeth Warren's ancestry DNA or her 23andMe indicates she's 16% Native American, and Trump named her Pocahontas for that, which is also a racial slur. I mean, oh yeah, she's the wall. We don't need no stinking wall. We got one. Sarah Huckabee Sanders is a wall between Donald Trump, the press, and the truth. Wow, I mean, I can't even believe it. We're back like 5 seconds, and then this happens. Like it wasn't enough that he went after LeVar Ball. Your son better beg me. Go to RandiRhodes.com for the whole thing and a podcast. Buy a stinking podcast.